Hey y'all, this is Dina. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to make a cell phone pouch. It's going to be crossbody, and yeah, I have made these in the past. I didn't sell them at craft fair, but y'all, I sold them at work. I probably sold 40 of them, and I sold them for $22 a piece, and they sold like hotcakes. So I thought I would share with you what I've done in the past. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do as far as supplies is you're going to need two outer pieces, and I've got these measuring 6 by 8. That way then it will fit the large iPhone as well. You're also going to need two pieces 6 by 8 for the lining. I'm going to put a small pocket inside, so I've got one piece, and this one measures 10 by 6, and I ironed it in half, so it's going to just be a little simple pocket for the inside. You're going to need the interfacing, and this is a fusible interfacing. It's of course 6 by 8, two of them. You're going to need some pieces for your strap, and I cut it on a fold, and this is 4 inches wide, but I went ahead and cut some extra. Let's see here, how long is this? The extra piece that I cut was about 13 inches, but I probably won't need all of this. I just thought I might need a little bit more because I wanted my strap to be long enough. And it's the nice thing is if you make it too long, you can trim it before you install it on your bag. So that's why I went ahead and cut that. Then you're also going to need some interfacing for the strap, and this is just kind of that paper thin interfacing that I usually use. You're also going to use a D-ring, some little rings, and I'll bring those out in a bit. You're going to also need a zipper. So, yeah, let's just get started, y'all. So, I'm going to go ahead and get my strap prepared. That way I have it ready to go. I'm going to move these out of the way. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of material that I had cut that's shorter, and I'm going to sew it together just like this. Then I'm going to go ahead and get this ironed in half, get the interfacing, and I'll show y'all what that looks like when I've got this done. This could be a little bit lengthy process, so I'm going to try to speed it along for you just to show you all the basics on how to make this. So I'll be right back. Okay. So I took it to my machine. I have sewed my piece of fabric in half, together, the pieces. Now I'm going to just iron this open, and then I'm going to start ironing it in half and start making my strap. So iron it open, iron your seam open, and then I'm just going to start taking it, and I'm just going to fold it in half and then fold it in half again. Since it's a 4-inch wide, I made it wide enough where I'd be able to do that. So I'm going to iron it in half. Today is Memorial Day. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. We didn't get to meet up with our kids this weekend because my one daughter went to Arkansas with her in-laws for a family reunion, and I think she just got back. So we will have a barbecue with our kids probably next weekend. Okay, folding it in half. I'm going to get it ironed all the way down. This is just plain old cotton fabric. The nice thing about these little cell phone bags, oh my goodness, y'all, you can make them in so many different colors. One of my coworkers, I think she bought enough for everybody in her family. She bought like 20 of them. And she just told me, she just told me what colors, and then I just picked the fabric, and she loved them. So I hope that they all enjoyed them. I've made them for myself. I've made them for my granddaughter. She loves them. And I had another one, but my granddaughter snagged it. Okay, now that I've got it ironed in half, I am just going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my interfacing so I can kind of see how much I need to do. Now it's going to be too big, of course, but that's okay. I did that just that way then it would have enough fabric. So I'm just going to kind of start by folding this down And you could have actually not ironed it in half if you didn't want to. You could have just started with this step, but I like to kind of iron it. So I'm going to give this a press all the way down, then I'm going to iron the other side over, and I'll be back when I'm done with it. Okay, so I have ironed it all in half and clipped it so it would stay where I wanted it to, but let me just show you. Here's the top, and as you see, here's the side I had already folded in with the interfacing underneath. I just folded the other side in half and ironed it nicely in half again. So it made a nice 1-inch strap. It's a nice sturdy strap. Now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and sew 2 seams, 1 on each side, and then we'll have our strap ready to prepare when we get to that part of the bag. So let's just get on over to the sewing machine. Okay, I'm going to leave my stitch length of my sewing machine on a 2.5 stitch length. I've already put some beautiful rose-colored thread in my machine. I'm just using 100% polyester thread for this particular one. It doesn't matter which kind you use. So I'm going to start at the end. Now granted, this strap is probably going to be too long, but it's better to make it too long and be able to trim it off just a little bit. Okay, let me grab my little thing to throw my clips in so I can be ready to sew. And here we go. I'm going to use my down feature. And I'm going to start sewing this all the way down one end. I back up the other side. That way you have a nice, pretty strap. And I'm just going in a little bit from my presser foot. I just kind of use my presser foot as a guide. It might be about 1/8 of an inch or maybe a little bit more. Stitch length over here, or the seam that's over here. Just use what you want, but you want to kind of get it close to the edge. That way then you don't have it folding up on you. And I'm just going to keep on going. If y'all don't have these, if you don't have these Wonder Clips, y'all, they really are beneficial. If you're not a sewer, you can even use them for your paper crafting. They never lose their strength. I mean, it's just awesome. They are awesome. I just love this fabric. I got the fabric at Joann Fabrics. I think I got it. I think it was like $6.99 a yard. No, I take that back. Yeah, I did get it at Joann Fabrics. For a second, I thought, did I get that at Joann's? Or at Hobby Lobby? But no, I did not. I got it at Joann Fabrics. I think it was like $6.99 a yard, and I got it for 40% off. And you don't even need a full half yard to make one of these little cell phone totes. My husband and I were going up to the casino one night, and so I came in here and I whipped myself up one. I said, look, I'm ready to go. All I needed was my cell phone and a little thing to put my money down in. That way then I didn't have to carry my big old purse. And it worked out wonderfully. Okay, and at the end, I'm just going to turn it and just go across the side and just get ready to go back up the other edge. As you see, got a nice little seam going down there. Now I'm just going to finish it up. Like I said in the past, if you've watched any of my sewing videos, I always sew the side that's open first. That way you get that all nicely sealed up. If you just hold your hands here and kind of keep guiding it, you'll have a pretty straight stitch. I'm not always perfect on my stitches, they get crooked, but if it's not too bad, I just don't even worry about it. It's okay. strap to the end, and we'll have our strap ready to go. And here we go. I'm just going to give it a little back stitch to hold that in place, even if I'm going to cut that off. I don't know. Just be prepared, y'all. Okay, so there we go. We got our strap. It's a nice thick strap, y'all. And I think I might not even need to cut any off, y'all. Okay, so let's get going on our bag now. Okay, so for this piece that's 6 inches by 10 and I folded it in half, I'm gonna have the folded side at the top, and I'm just gonna sew a seam straight across just so it keeps it down, just sew a nice seam. You can use a decorative stitch, but this is going on the inside of your bag, so no one is gonna notice if it's decorative or not. Okay, so I just sewed myself a nice seam going across there. Been a while since I made these, and I thought, you know what, I need to show you guys how I make these. Okay, so I've got it like that. Now I'm gonna take one of my lining pieces. I'm gonna line it up with the bottom of my bag. You can pin if you like, so you make sure it stays in place. I'm just gonna line it up. See if I got any more. I have some clips over here, y'all. Okay, so you want to make sure you've lined it up with the bottom of your piece of fabric, and I'm just gonna kind of hold it in place, and I'm going to start over here on this one side and sew myself a seam going down the side just so I can hold this in place. If you wish to put like a Velcro enclosure or a snap or something, now would be the time to do that, but I'm not going to worry with that. I think it's going to be just fine without it. If you wanted to do a zipper, you could do that as well. I have one that I had done a zipper on as well. And then I'm just going to sew a seam to kind of anchor this in place. If you wanted to skip this part and just sew it all in the end, you can do that. But at least this kind of anchors it in place where you're not going to worry about it moving on you when you're trying to get everything all together. Okay, and I'm going to grab this side. I didn't start at the very, very bottom. You don't have to sew across the bottom because you're gonna be sewing this together. I just wanted to anchor this on. And I'm back stitching here. Okay. Trim this off. So now on one piece of our lining, I now have a little pocket here, even though it's open at the bottom, but we will take care of that in just a bit. Okay, so we've got our pocket prepared. So now let me show you what is next. Okay, so let's get started on layering up our bag. You're going to put your outside fabric that's got your interfacing already adhered on. You're going to line that up with your zipper teeth side down, and you're going to just kind of anchor this up in place with your clips. If you're comfortable without clipping, which I normally don't clip or pin on this part, I just lay it over there and sew it. You don't have to, but it's helpful if you're new to sewing. So now you're going to take so you have your fabric that's got your interfacing adhered. Zipper is teeth side down, and this is just a plastic zipper. I'm gonna line up my interior fabric or my lining fabric. I just want to make sure I get it good and lined up. I want it to be looking good there. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put some little clips on the bottom here. That way then I don't have any of this part on the bottom moving. And then I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, And I'm going to sew a seam going all the way down here. We got my zipper foot put on my machine. I'm just going to line this up. And I'm going to line the edge of my zipper foot up with the little zipper thing in the middle, the creases in the center. I'm going to try to keep it lined up just like that. I'm going to do a few more stitches. I'm going to back stitch because I want it to be nice and secure. And then I'm going to try to keep going nice and straight all the way down. If you don't have a zipper foot, it's all good. You can still do this. And it is really, seriously, it's really helpful if you have a zipper that's too long, because then you don't have to worry about trying to move the zipper pull. Okay, so there we go. Get this trimmed off. Let me trim the strings. I can't stand that. It drives me crazy. Okay, so I'm going to take these off the bottom. Now I've got one side of my zipper installed. I'm going to give it a quick press, and then I'm going to sew a top stitch right along here. Now that I've got my edge of my thing all pressed, I'm going to make sure I'm holding my lining fabric, and I'm going to just sew a nice seam right along the edge. There we go. Just sew a nice stitch going down the edge there. I just kind of use the edge of the fabric as my guide. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so now that I've got my first panel adhered to the zipper, now I'm going to adhere the other one to the zipper. So what you can do is you're going to have your pretty fabric. You want to put them right sides together. Line them up. Make sure everything is all lined up. And then you're going to put your other interfacing on top. Just like this. Line them up. Make sure your edges are all lined up the best that you can. We're going to clip or pin these down. Just like this. And if you notice it moves any at all or moved over, then make sure that you just kind of move it a little bit. But that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and sew a seam going all the way across here. Okay, so let's get back to the sewing machine. Okay, so now I'm back at the machine. I'm going to hold my pieces all together. I'm going to line the edge of my zipper foot up with the center part of the zipper. I'm going to give it a little back stitch right there. And so slowly going all the way down. Just want to make sure my thread is underneath. And just make sure everything has stayed where it should have, and I think it did pretty good actually. I'm going to zip it off right on the end. Trim off my fun threads there. So now I'm going to open it up, and now I've got my zipper installed. I just need to sew a top stitch. I'm going to take this back to the iron, and I'm going to iron this down, and then I'm going to sew a top stitch right along the top. Okay, now I'm going to sew that top stitch right on the other end. I got a string I got to move there. pretty good. And there you go. You can see how there it is. That actually looked better than the other side. Y'all, if you're new to sewing, or you won't sew because you say, oh, I can't sew good. No, I'm not a great sewer either. I just don't give up. I have to try. I can't stand it if I don't try. So here we go. We've got our bag looking just like this. So now we're going to get ready. First thing I'm going to have to do is we're going to get ready to install the loops that goes on the side that actually will hold our, get that string off there, to hold our, where our straps are. Or you can skip that part and just sew the straps on without adding loops. But we're going to add some, hopefully you understand what I'm saying. I'll show you. Okay, let's get on to the next part. So now before we go any further, I need to make the tabs. So I've took a piece of fabric and it measures 8 inches long by 4 inches wide. And just like I did with the straps, I'm gonna iron it in half. The only difference on this one is I guess I can put it interfacing. I got a piece here. I'm just gonna throw this interfacing in here. You don't have to do this part, but I'm just gonna throw my interfacing in here just to make it more stable. And I'm just gonna iron it just like this. Now I'm gonna take it to my sewing machine, sew a seam up down one end and down the other, and then I will show you how we can start putting this bag together. Okay, so I got my piece sewed in half. It ends up being 1 inch. I've got it seam sewed on each side. Now I'm gonna take it and fold it in half and cut it in half. This way I only had to make one. I want to make sure my ends look good. Actually, it probably doesn't matter. They'll be inside, but I kind of want them to look good. Now you've got 2. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get ready to put our bag together, y'all. Okay, so I've already cut off my zipper. Got it all ready. Got a string of it. I can't stand it when I've got strings. Y'all, have you all used this invisible thread? I bought some and I don't know if I like it. Oh my goodness. Okay, back on this. Okay, so what I'm using, and normally you would use a D-ring for this, but I don't have any D-rings. So I have these rectangle rings, and let me see the package that it came in. Side buckles, it's this one. Okay, I got these at Hobby Lobby, and as you see, it's rectangular rings. You can use the D-rings, that's normally what I use, but I didn't have any, but these will work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put my little strap that I made, put it right up inside there, and then I'm going to adhere these. I'm going to adhere them over here since I have the lining part. And I made them too long deliberately just so you can kind of judge how much you want. And I think I'm just going to put them in my project about right there. You want them faced in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pin this. And I like to go ahead and sew them in place. You can, if you're like really good at sewing and you don't want to sew them all in place, you want to sew everything at once, go for it. But I'm going to do mine just like this. And I'm putting it down where it's like about a finger. There's about a finger length in between the top of where this strap is. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. This is where I'll be putting it. I'm going to measure about a finger down. And let me clip. Now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew these in place. That way then when I'm getting them ready to go, then I'll have them all in place. I'll be able to sew it and I'll be able to get the strap on, y'all. This is really easy. Don't think it's difficult. It really is easy. It's just lots of steps. But let's get back over to the sewing machine. Okay. So here I am. I've got my presser foot right underneath here. I've got my little tab here with my rectangle ring that I'm using. I'm just going to sew this on. That way it doesn't move. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I just like to do that because, and I know it should be, I know it's like an extra step, because you could sew all this together, but I'd rather do that. That way then I know they're in place and I don't have to worry about them moving. Here we go to the other side. Is everybody grilling a hamburger today? If you're international, do y'all celebrate Memorial Day? Or do you celebrate? I mean, is this a day of celebration for y'all? And let me make sure I gotta get that thread out of there. But yeah, I always like to know the customs over in other countries because I've never been to, well, I've been to Mexico. My husband and I went before to Mexico. To Cozumel. That was pretty fun. It's beautiful there. But yeah, tell me about your customs. Okay, so now that I've got this in here, just like this, they're already adhered and ready to go. So now what you're going to do is make sure your zipper is about halfway open. You're going to put your pretty sides here together. I'm just going to pin these together so it doesn't move. And I'm going to pin the bottom or the lining part. So I want to pin them, and they're all the same. They're all the same size. They're the same length. Like this, that way I've got them together. Now I'm just gonna take it and make sure when you're doing this that your zipper is kind of, when it's looking at each other, it's folded in half. Make sure your zipper is kind of, the bottom part of it goes down into the lining part. Don't have it sticking up. I hope I hope you understand that. I'm trying to explain that to you. I'm just going to pin this right here where my zipper is. I want my zipper to stay in place. And remember, make sure the zipper is open before you do this side, this part. Okay, so now it's just like this. I'm going to also put some clips or pins right here because I want it to hold everything in place. Just like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to my sewing machine. I'm going to start down here in the lining. I'm going to leave about a 2.5 to 3 inch opening here at the bottom so I can turn it. I'm going to sew it all the way around and then stopping right here so I can have a place to turn it. Then I'll flip it inside out and then I'll show you what we need to do with the strap. Easy, y'all. It's so easy. Okay. So I've got it about over. I'm going to leave that space in the center as I told you. And I am going to, got a string up in there. So I want to make sure my strings are out of the way. I want to back stitch right here because when I turn it, it will have some pulling on it. I don't want it to come out. Go all the way to the edge, or at least I'm doing about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so that way then it's a good seam allowance. I'm going to sew this all the way straight up. Now this phone pouch will fit phones like the Plus. I have an iPhone 8 Plus and it will fit my iPhone. Make sure when you're sewing in here, make sure these rings that you have attached in here, your D-rings, your rectangular rings, your circular rings, whichever one, just make sure that they're not where your needle is going to hit. I'm going to sew this right down. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. Pull that pin out. I'm going to turn it. Next pin out. It's looking good. Make sure I got them all lined up. I'm going to go back up this side. ring that I have this rectangular ring up in, and make sure it's pushed down enough. I wanted to get movement there and have it move on me, and then break a needle. Okay, I'm gonna hold this all in place, slowly go over where my zipper is. Okay, and here we go. Coming down into the lining again. I'm gonna go across the bottom a little bit. Back stitch. And let's just turn this inside out. You can go ahead at this time and you can trim the zipper, but let me show you how we're gonna turn this. Here's our project. Before I turn it, I'm gonna clip my corners, but not going up into that seam allowance right there. It reduces bulk on the corners. Just like that. I'm gonna do the other end as well. Just like that. Now I'm gonna trim off my zipper on both sides. Now I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna turn it inside out. I hope I didn't make my hole too small here. Don't forget you do have that pocket up in there. I was starting to go up in the pocket. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, put my fingers in there. I'm just gonna pull my bag through. This is like drum roll, y'all. All this sewing for something so pretty when you're done. And I love this. I love the fabric. Don't be afraid to use different fabrics with each other. Okay. And it's gonna be perfect size for a cell phone. Okay, now that I've got this, there's my lining fabric. I'm gonna take my finger and poke out my corners. Just like that. I need to go in here and I need to make sure all my corners on the lining or the outer fabric is poked up. Just push up where your zipper is, just like that. Let's do the bottom because see, I need to get that pushed out. Use your fingers, use scissors, whatever you would like to use. And there, look, it's gonna fit a cell phone just perfectly. Now, but we can't forget, we gotta stitch up this lining at the bottom. So I'm gonna take that to my sewing machine quickly and sew that. Just wanna make sure it's nicely sewed. I'm just gonna sew a nice seam all the way across the bottom to make sure it's nicely sewed together. Okay, so I got that sewed together, and then we're gonna push this down inside. Told y'all this is gonna make the best cell phone pouch. And it's gonna be crossbody, so you'd be able to, you know, cross it over yourself, and that way it's nice and safe. Now I'm going to push this down inside. Okay, I found myself a little stick. Hopefully it won't break on me. I just want to make sure, oh, here we go, a wooden dowel. I just want to make sure my little my corners go out really well. Just kind of work them. They're going to be rounded a little bit. Look how cute that is, y'all. And we've got our little pocket inside. I'm going to give this a little press. And then I will show you guys how we're gonna put the strap on. See? Look at that, y'all. It's gonna be a perfect cell phone holder. Okay, I'm gonna give it a press and we'll move on to the very last step. Now we're gonna adhere our strap to our bag. What I am using is these slide buckles. I got them at Hobby Lobby. I am using a 1-inch. This is what it looks like. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this through the middle of my buckle and back out the other side, just like this. And I'm gonna sew this, adhere this down with my sewing machine right here. So let me do that and I'll show you my next step. Okay, so now I've got my buckle sewed in. I just put it up through one side and back down the other, sewed about 3 inches down. And now we're going to adhere this to the bag. We're gonna get this on the bag. Okay, so what you're gonna do is make sure your strap is not twisted. And you're going to put your strap through the loop, the rectangle ring that you have on your little bag, just like this. Then you're going to take the end of your strap, you're going to go up through one side of the buckle, down the other side, just like this, and pull it. Okay, so now it becomes a slider. So you can make your strap shorter or longer. Hope I didn't go out of frame on that, y'all. So there you go. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna make sure it's straight. And you're gonna go around the other side to where the rectangle ring is. And you are going to put it through there. I'm gonna sew a seam to adhere this and our bag will be complete, y'all. So let me get this all sewed down, y'all, and you guys will see the end result. Hey, y'all, here's our finished project. Got my husband's cell phone in there. Like I said, it is an iPhone 8 Plus. My strap looks great. You can make it longer or shorter because of the buckle here makes it longer or shorter. So simple, y'all. Anyway, thanks so much everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this quick project. It's not really quick, but you will get it down. It probably will take you about an hour to make one. It only takes less than a half a yard of fabric to make it. Your little pieces of interfacing 4x6. I mean, not 4x6, 6x8. And yeah, you can make these smaller if you have a smaller cell phone, but I kind of like it this size. My husband and I both have iPhone 8 Pluses, so it fits it perfectly, and you're still able to put a little something else in there. And you've got your nice long strap, and it works well, y'all. And I hope you'll give this a try. If you are new to sewing, don't be intimidated. This is easy. You can do it. It's one of the most simplest projects ever. Just stick with it and don't give up on the steps. You just keep going. You'll do it. Anyway, I'm just gonna say thanks so much everybody for watching today, and I'm gonna get off here and I'm gonna go grill my husband and I a yummy hamburger for a late lunch, early dinner. And yeah, I think that I'll go in there and watch movies with my husband again. So anyway, thanks so much again, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.